Okay, let's go for this area underneath the ship. So to do that, I'll just duplicate a face here. So I'll go Control Space, Face, Control Space, Face, grab this face, Shift D to duplicate it, and just move it over here. Now, to create a triangle is pretty easy. We just need to pick this corner. So to get that corner vert, I'm going Control Space, Vert, click that vert, spacebar, and Z. Now I've got a triangle. Now I'm going to grab these two verts, Shift Space, and to lock it sideways I can also press middle mouse, or just click middle mouse once. So same thing, pick two, Shift Space, click middle mouse, and it'll lock in that direction. So now we can S to scale it, move it into position. Should be about there. And I also want this to wrap around a little bit like that. Now I might start running into problems selecting stuff because now our geometry is all, occluding each other, overlapping each other, and it's just a little bit hidden. So instead of dealing with it, I'll just run away from my problems and separate it. So check this out. We've got one cube object, which is the little, this is everything that we've got here is all on one object. You can think of objects like sort of like layers, or just a collection of faces. So I'm going to double click this piece and press P, and keep your eye up here on the top right. Press P. Now it creates a new object, and this object only has these faces on it. So this is nice for organizing because now we can't select any of the old faces. It's a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so now I'm going to get my shape right, and then we've also got some triangles insets here. So I could try to do that by, let's say we could grab this, Shift D, move it off a little bit. Let's go V and left view, V and left, move it over, scale, try to put it over here. I'm going to verts mode here. Actually, let me go I'll just do this first triangle. So let's go Shift Space, middle mouse, double click, and then F. So one more time. You pick two of these. Shift D to duplicate it, S to scale it. Let's move it over here. Pick this one, Shift Space, middle mouse, double click, and F. And you can adjust this if you need to. So that's one triangle there. The next one, let's duplicate this, S, maybe like that. And let me go sideways like this. And you might run into some blockage here, but we could modify the shape. Maybe it's like that. F to fill that up. Yeah, so maybe it's like that. Just make it up. Oops. Shift D, S. Shift Space, and F. We can straighten these out by selecting them, Control Alt Space, and flatten it in the front view. That's if we are like off center here, we just go Control Alt Space, flatten in the front. Alright, so now we can start to do our little bevels here. So it seems like this one's a little bit flat, and then these two maybe get a little bit flatter. This one I'll make it round, and then these I will also make round. flattening these guys with Control Alt Space and B. Oops. Selected that one on top by accident. Okay. So now, these guys here, I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. P to separate it onto a new mesh. So now we got another one. So you definitely want to start to organize your scene like this with different objects for different parts that you want to be separate. Alright, so let's move, extrude this to the side a little bit. Actually, I'll go in this way. Shift double click and just move it like that. Alright, and then I want to give this piece some thickness, so I'll go shift space like that. And now we can go shift, I'm in object mode here, so control space down. I'm picking this one and then this one, control B and live subtract. Now we have this subtract. And it's live, it's called live because we can go like this and edit it. Really nice stuff. And this is a new thing for 2.8 where we can see it in edit mode, just like this. It's very, very interactive. Alright, so I'm going to grab all three of these by holding down shift and just dragging my mouse a little bit. Shift and drag, shift and drag, and you might see these little black dots here. So this black dot is for that face. Then B. Actually, this might be a little bit thicker like this. But I need to be careful with stuff like that. See, when these get too close, they're going to overlap. So let's try it like that. And then the trick is you can grab this face and that face and that face and scale them. So if I hit S, they're all scaling towards the same direction, which is not what I want here. So I'll go Control Shift Space, pivot individual, and then S. So this gives us what we want here. Okay. We can always go back to this one and make it thicker. And we could start to bevel these ones too. So Alt click B and S. And then you could keep going and adding in more details if you want. But it's the same process here, so I would just go back to our cutter object. You could click one, vert, duplicate it with Shift D, and just start drawing. It's probably a more exact way to do this, but for now I think this is okay. Again, pick one and then shift click the other one, and whichever one is highlighted in yellow is where it's going to merge when you press Control J. So that just merged. So F to fill that with a face, shift space, and the same process, just beveling. If your stuff is going inside out like this, where it's doing a funny type of shading here, just double click this and hit Control N to flip it. Now we get our actual cut there. And if you want to hide the cutters, you can go Control B, toggle cutters. Control B, toggle cutters. Oh, okay, and I see I've got a problem up here too. Oops. Oh, this one's inside out. So double click it and then Control N. There we go. Alright, great. Let's take a little break here and I'll see you in the next section.